So I recently just upgraded to the iPhone XS, and well, I'm coming from the iPhone 7 Plus. Only reason I upgraded was because I was in a recent accident on my boosted board and smashed my screen for the second time. Didn't see the point in paying $150 to $200 for a 2.5-year-old phone when I could just upgrade. It's kind of obsolete anyway. Well, I really got to thinking when I purchased this phone about, all of the people talking about how the 10 and the XS is kind of overpriced. And I really got to thinking, is this XS worth $1,000? And well, for me, if you were to ask me, I would say 100%. It is worth $1,000. Hell, I even think my 7 Plus, if you would have told me I would have had to pay $1,000 for this thing, I would have paid it, because that's how much value that it brings to my life. See, I think people forget, stop looking at specs for a second, because this thing is packed full of goodies, you know what I mean? It's one of the fastest iPhones that they've come out to date. Not saying a lot, but you get my point. It's pretty fast. It has an upgraded camera. It has a lot of really neat upgrades, small upgrades to the 10. But from the 7 is major upgrades. But is it worth $1,000? Yes, it is worth $1,000. The image that you're looking at right now is shot on a Sony A7R II. Now the body alone is $1,800, and the reason it's $1,800 is because it's an older camera. Now the newer stuff, even the entry level mirrorless camera, the A7 III, that thing is $2,000. So, and that's just for the body alone. My camera lens here is worth $2,000. So, and I know I've said it in many other videos, this is a $4,000 setup with the Rode video mic, and that's included an extra $350. So, this camera shoots 4K, 30 frames per second, 1080p at 120, and so on and so on. This is $1,000. 4K, 60 frames, 4K 30. 1080p at 120, and so on and so on. It shoots the same image. Now granted, image quality is a little bit better on this camera, being that this has a larger sensor size. So I understand, perfect lighting conditions, you will not be able to tell them apart. Honestly, it's hard to tell them apart. That alone makes this phone or device worth $1,000. Now behind me is an iMac. This is a $3,000 iMac that I built on the website of Apple. There's not much that iMac can do that my iPhone can't do. I can edit video, I can edit photos, I can put Lightroom on here. Not so sure about Premiere Pro though. I think you can put Premiere Pro on here. I'm not 100% sure about that one. But you get my point. $3,000 versus $1,000. And I can make videos on this. That alone makes this $1,000. Makes it worth $1,000. And this is much more than just a smartphone. This is my wallet. This is my GPS. This is my gateway to social media. Everything is optimized for this $1,000 smartphone. All of your social media websites, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, the list goes on, Pinterest. Everything's optimized to be viewed on a smartphone. So don't tell me that this phone is not worth $1,000. I do mobile banking on this phone. I can address any issues with my bank on my phone. I can check my credit on my phone. I mean, the list of things that you can do from this little small device is pretty much limitless. There's not much you can't do on this phone, but yet and still you're telling people this phone is not worth $1,000. It is. Think about all of the devices that this thing takes the place of, that are built into this thing. That alone makes this worth $1,000. So please stop telling people that these things aren't worth $1,000. They're worth $1,000. Do we want to pay $1,000 for these? I mean, that's a different question. I didn't want to pay $1,000 for this iPhone XS, and I'm pretty sure no one else wants to pay $1,000. But we're strictly looking at the value of this product. Any smartphone. I'm not talking about iPhones. I'm talking about any smartphone in general. And I do believe that any smartphone that you buy, if they were to put $1,000 price tag on it, it would be worth it. Because you have to remember all of the devices that this thing takes the place of. Hell, this is a TV for a lot of people. This is what 90% of us watch YouTube on. So don't tell me that it's not worth $1,000. I believe it's worth $1,000. This thing brings great value. You could run a whole company on an iPhone. You can buy and sell stock on an iPhone. I mean, there's just so much you can do. You can make YouTube videos on an iPhone. It's been proven. People make millions of dollars using their phone. Yeah, I think it's worth $1,000.